My name is Erick Ramirez, and I'm Associate Professor of Philosophy at Santa Clara University. In my research, I, in collaboration with the students who work with me in my lab, are trying to harness the potential of augmented reality technologies to make ourselves and ideally the world a better place. So what is an augmented reality technology? It's a large family of different technologies. So most familiar might be something like this, which is a virtual reality headset, right, with a dedicated HMD. But it also includes cell phone-based virtual reality experiences that you might have had yourself, and even augmented reality applications. I think the best example here is Pokemon Go, right? Which the major difference here is just augmented reality simulations add simulated content onto the world. A virtual reality simulation puts you inside a fully simulated world. And we're trying to harness the power of these technologies while at the same time trying to predict and minimize the harms that we think they're also going to introduce. This is a really interdisciplinary problem, meaning there are a lot of different ways of approaching and maybe resolving some of these problems. And so our team is also really interdisciplinary, including myself. We have people in our group who are interested in philosophy, who are interested in psychology, who are interested in the neurosciences, and of course computer science. And what we're trying to do is bring this group together to learn about the past in order to predict some of the harmful consequences that these technologies might introduce in our future. One example of that is just the internet. Those of you old enough to remember the world before the internet know that it really upended a lot of our social structures, the way we connect with one another. Our political structures, maybe most famously, have been changed. Our moral structures, just how we've been affected in terms of the kinds of judgments we make. And even our metaphysical structures, how we think about what it is we are and how we connect to others in our social world. All of these things were changed. And what can we learn about these past disruptions from technology to predict how the metaverse will affect our social, political, moral structures as well? One of the areas that we're doing a lot of active research in is called moral psychology. Moral psychology is just a way of thinking about any research that's trying to make sense of what we're doing when we make a moral judgment. What's a moral concept? What are moral emotions? What are the neurosciences of the moral decision making look like? It's all moral psychology. Maybe the best way of understanding moral psychology is just through its tools, so thought experiments. If you've heard of the trolley problem, you're familiar with moral psychology. If you've never heard of the trolley problem, here it is very quickly. Imagine that you find yourself in the following very strange situation. So you happen to notice there is an out-of-control trolley, right? It's just a train. And you can tell it's going way too fast. Its brakes don't work. You cannot stop it. It also, looking a little bit further up the track, you can see that it splits. It goes to the left and to the right. You happen to be standing right at the spot where there's a switch that lets you switch the tracks that the trolley is on. If you do nothing, you can see the trolley is going to go to the right, and on that track are 5 people who will be killed by this trolley, right? It can't be stopped. So you might be tempted to switch the track. If you do, you will save those 5 people, but there's one person on that track on the left who will die as a result of your action. This is a classic tool that's been used by moral psychologists to try and make sense of some of our everyday moral judgments, but it's also exactly the kind of place where we think virtual reality is poised to improve upon both the kind of data and the quality of data that we can capture. So one of the things that we've been doing is creating our own virtual reality simulations of these thought experiments. We have our own trolley problem that we've put out and made available to people, and some of the other classic experiments as well we've tried to recreate in virtual reality. But like I said, we're trying to learn about the past to make the future a bit better. And so we're also trying to prevent ourselves from making some of the classic mistakes that happened in the 20th century in terms of accidentally traumatizing human subjects. So we've been investigating what features of a simulation, right? What is it about a simulation that makes it more or less likely to harm somebody? Because it turns out you can be harmed by simulated experience. We've put out a code of ethics that we've made available that tries to talk about some of these design parameters, both for psychologists, but also for game designers, right? Who want to create immersive, fun, engaging worlds, but not traumatizing ones. And so we've been thinking about how to make this information as widely available as possible. And this is just a slice of some of the research that I get to do here in my lab with our students at Santa Clara.